Apple Vision Pro and Meta's Orion and the Quest headsets and all of that, I don't think any of that is the future of tech. And I'll tell you why. Uh, and I won't go into like a 20-minute tangent. I'll just explain why I'm saying this because of where I'm coming from. I want to build up to it. Phones. When phones started, what did they provide? You'll see that this is a consistent improvement in about two fronts if we're going to abstract them to a large extent. Phones in their or that kind of consumer gadget at their core provided one, in the beginning maybe mainly one, and with time two things. They provided liberation. They liberated the user in some sense, and they provided functionality. So when you started with the landline, like when phones gained mass adoption, you had landlines. The phone that was plugged to the wall, that like had a cord going into the wall, and it had the earpiece and the coily cord. Then you have to literally dial the number, and then you got the phones with the buttons and stuff. What did that phone provide? That phone was a jump from things like the telegraph, for example. You don't have to go somewhere and send a telegraph to communicate with someone, and you don't have to go to meet someone in person to talk to them. However, so when the phone came along, basically what it provided was it liberated the user. It liberated them from having to go somewhere to send a telegraph, and it provided functionality where you could speak to someone on the phone without having to go meet them somewhere. That was functionality and liberation in a way, because you don't have to physically go somewhere else to meet someone. Saves you time, it's more convenient, all of that. So in the beginning, the very basics were enough because there was no widespread phone before then, so anything's good, anything's better than nothing, right? Then you got wireless phones, which was obviously a bit more liberating, but in terms of functionality, it's pretty much the same, but you can walk around the house, I guess. You don't have to make the phone call in the same room where the base of the phone is. Then mobile phones or cell phones came around, the regular ones, not smartphones. Those were a bit of a jump in terms of liberation. They liberated the user even more. The functionality, the base functionality was the same. You're still talking to someone, just like the old phone was. You can argue that, and it's kind of true, it is true, that level of functionality also was better in a way because you can make a phone call in the middle of the desert if you had reception, or on the street, basically from your car, from wherever you want, as long as you've got network, you can make a phone call. So you'll see here that the phone started liberating the user, and then as it became a wireless phone, a wireless headset, kind of like the thing you hold in your hand became wireless. So it starts off with liberating the user and providing functionality to talk to someone without meeting them, and then liberating the user a bit more because you can get up and walk around the house because you don't have a cable connecting the thing you hold to the base of the phone. So the functionality is a bit higher in a way, but you're still doing the same thing on the phone. And then cell phones or mobile phones came around. Liberation is much higher. Functionality, yeah, as much as the liberation is higher in a way, but you're still doing the same basic thing. Smartphones came along and revolutionized everything and revolutionized the tech industry with them because you had Apple. Like Apple's bread and butter until today, their main source of revenue is the iPhone, unless that's changed, and I don't think it has. iPhone is the main thing for Apple, last I checked. And the smartphone revolution changed everything because liberation-wise is similar to the cell phone and smartphone in terms of where you can go, the cell phone and mobile phone. But in terms of functionality, it skyrocketed. It went to the moon because you have a computer in your pocket. Wherever you go, you can work on it, you can play, you can do whatever you want to do. You have a computer on you. The sky is the limit in a way, and you can do a ton of more things. So it continued to provide the same level of liberation to the user and unbelievably, immeasurably more amazing functionality, to be a bit, to exaggerate a bit. Of course, it is measurable, but it's humongous. Now, what's happening, or what happened in real life on the market is smartphones have been around for a long time. We've all noticed that basically there's for in the grand scheme of things, There's pretty much nothing new. Very little basically is new. And every single year it's the same phone all the time. And they made it foldable, and they made it, and they made a tri-fold phone, and they did this and they did that. It's all the same, more or less. Some incremental improvements, but at the end of the day, there's no humongous improvement to the user experience, though. Well, that may have improved a bit, but functionality is the same. The level of liberation of the user, liberating the user, and giving them more freedom is the same. But basically, the product, like any product, has a life cycle. And smartphones have plateaued. They're not going anywhere else. They won't. It's over. That's why they're trying to push AI. But the way they're trying to push AI on smartphones is gimmicky. Because, oh look, it can create a custom-made emoji. Oh look what it can do. It can write your email for you, or you can like write it or something, and it can make it sound more professional or more friendly, and all of that. That's like, that's nothing major. That's nothing big. That's nothing that you would go buy a device for. Sure hope not. It wouldn't make sense unless someone has extremely limited English capabilities, for example, and they need to buy it. Or I actually don't know if it's available in other languages. But if it's only English, then there may be a bit of a use case there. But realistically, if you're in a job where you have to send emails in a language, you're probably proficient enough in that language to send those emails. Hopefully so. So, my point is, the smartphone as a category has reached a plateau. It's over. It's not gonna improve much in a meaningful way. So what did they do to try and come up with a new product? They came up with, stuff like the Quest devices. Then you have the Vision Pro, Apple's Vision Pro, Meta's Quest, and Meta's Orion. Comparing the Orion to the Vision Pro, yes, I think it has some benefits over the Vision Pro. But generally speaking, like, it's gonna be lighter. You have actual, you see the real world, and there's like holograms that you see, as opposed to just seeing everything through cameras, through a lens. Like, you're actually seeing video of everything. In the Vision Pro and the Meta, you actually see the real world and holograms. So that's better in a way. It's lighter and everything. Fine. Okay. The thing is, if you measure these devices on the same two factors that I've been mentioning since I started talking about phones and their development, in terms of liberation, it's actually not liberating the user. It's doing the opposite, because it's literally on your face. If you have trouble putting a phone down because of how the apps are designed to be addictive and to give you dopamine hits and to keep you scrolling through the app and all that stuff, how much more? But that's a phone. You're holding it in your hand. You can, if you have enough willpower, put it down, put it in your pocket, whatever. Get tired of holding it or something and just let it go and move on with your day, or go to bed or something like that. If that can be addictive, how much more so is something that you literally wear on your face? You think the apps or the usability, the use cases of that device with time, if it lasts long enough and as development is done enough for it, you think that's not gonna be more addictive than your phone? If it's at least as addictive as your phone, it's on your face. It's more pervasive. It's literally in your face. It's right here or there, It's not in your hand. Is it better for your posture? Like, I was watching Colin and Samir was talking about posture and all that. And Colin was saying something, I think, about how you got your hands and something back. Yeah, sure, fine. But the phone was in my hand. I can put it away. I'm not walking around wearing it on my face. So in terms of liberation, it pulled you down. It didn't liberate you more. It didn't even keep the same level of freedom of the user. It pulled you down. It weighed you down. Whether they're Meta's Orion or Apple's Vision Pro or the Quest devices or whatnot. And in terms of functionality, there's no realistic or no major added functionality. It does the same stuff that you can do on your phone. What's the point? Just that it's a new form factor because you're bored? Yeah, that ain't gonna cut it. That's not gonna make it as widespread as a phone. I don't think so. Who knows what's gonna happen in 2050 or whatever. But I don't see something that makes you less free than a smartphone and is more pervasive and basically has pretty much the same functionality and even a worse user experience in terms of perhaps sending an email or whatnot if you're gonna type it in one way or another. It's a worse product. It can't gain or shouldn't gain mass adoption the way a smartphone has. And that's why Meta's Orion, the Apple Vision Pro, and this whole category of products is not going to be the future of technology. I don't think it is, or I don't think it should be. It doesn't make any sense. The fact of the matter is, smartphones were a wave, and that wave it's over. It's over. There's nothing major happening. They've become commodities to a large degree, and if they haven't totally, because you have some emotional attachment to one brand or one device or one thing or another, they're just not that interesting anymore. There's nothing new going on, and I think that's just gonna be the new reality of gadgets like smartphones. I don't see anything that's gonna replace them in terms of mass adoption, because nothing else has a good reason and provides good enough value or frees the user in a way that would warrant mass adoption. And smartphones are gonna be around. They're gonna keep getting incremental improvements, and there's just nothing that interesting going on. Even the biggest thing, which was new, which is AI, is something a lot of people don't like, to put it mildly. Some people may, and some people probably don't really. What has it done for me realistically? We may be going back to a phase where the most impactful stuff isn't stuff that's being sold as a consumer device. The most impactful stuff is going to be something that adds actual value and improves people's lives. There was a talk by Peter Thiel, or Thiel, however you pronounce his name, a while back. Regardless of what you think of him as a person, that's not what I'm discussing. He was saying something, I think it was him, saying something like, in like the 20th century, or I don't know which centuries, like in a particular period of time, there were some really interesting things, like new inventions, like the light bulb, the phone as a concept. Penicillin was discovered, maybe, I don't know if he mentioned that, but I'm just saying, big things. And those things were humongous. They moved humanity to a completely different level. For a while now, consumer gadgets got attention. It seems to be rivaling things that were like groundbreaking in a way, because they are being pushed by companies that are trying to sell them and that are profiting from them. And when they push their devices and make huge marketing campaigns about them and keynotes and events about them, they get to increase their company's share values and please their shareholders. But I think the era of consumer devices getting that much hype around them might just be gone. Because smartphones are, I don't want to be too dramatic, but they're kind of over. They're gonna stay with us, but there's nothing that interesting going on in that field anymore.